Trump accounts just dropped as a new way to invest in your kids' future. In fact, 25 million Americans are actually eligible for a free $1,000 investment today. That's a free $1,000. You don't have to do anything except sign up. You get a free $1,000 for your kids. Pretty cool. But it doesn't just end there, and we're going to cover all that in today's video, because the question is this actually a good place to invest your money? Or is this just Trump coin 2.0? Are you just investing in some sort of crazy meme coin that's going to get rug pulled for you? Well, today we're going to briefly cover who qualifies for the Trump accounts, what Trump accounts are, and some of the pros and cons. And by the way, if you're new here, this channel, we primarily cover how AI is impacting the workforce and how your world is being revolutionized by AI. And a big part of surviving that is smart investing and putting your money away, owning property. I think that really important as we move into a world where it's really hard to own property. Owning property is going to be valuable. And anyway, having investments, 401k, things like that, I think are prudent. Anyway, let's get into today's video. What are Trump accounts? Well, they're basically a revolutionary type of investment account, similar to an IRA, but they're for kids. They were enacted into law as the Invest America Act inside a reconciliation bill in 2025. Now, the Trump account app just went live a few days ago on July 4th. And by the way, on that same weekend, it hit the #1 most downloaded app on the App Store with over 1.5 million downloads. It's 1.5 million people downloaded it on its opening weekend. And there are over $1 billion in deposits into these Trump accounts already, some from regular people like you and me. Some were funded by charities and employers, things of that nature. We're going to get into that in just a moment. So who's qualified? Well, any U.S. citizen with a Social Security number who was born between January 1st of 2025 and December 31st of 2028 qualifies for a free $1,000 investment. Pretty sweet. So if you're planning on having kids, now is not the worst time. A, we need more kids in this world, more human beings. A, B, well, you get a free $1,000, so that's not a bad jumpstart. All you gotta do is set up an account, there's no money required, and then big donors like Dell, Micron, Brad Gersner are going to invest in your account. They're putting up money, they're just gonna put it right in there, so that's pretty cool. But here's the thing, guys, it doesn't just stop there. Any child under age 18 is eligible to start an account. I have 2 kids, and the reason I'm covering this today is because I've been looking into it, because I'm always looking for ways to get money invested, and compounding interest is really fundamental to your financial freedom. Anyways, what happens to the money that you put into your Trump account? Well, that money's invested into a low-cost index fund into the S&P 500. Good news with funds like that, they're very low risk, right? You're not being put into high risk, highly speculative fund. You're being put into basically an S&P, into the S&P 500, right? Low risk. As American business grows, your fund grows. And I think that's a big part of what they're trying to do with these Trump accounts is give kids, give American people kind of like some skin in the game. You're actually invested in American economy, which I think is a good thing. I think we should be aligned. You might say, well, it's selfish. I don't care about selfishness as long as our goals are aligned. Anyway, the investment grows tax deferred without annual taxation, similar to the way a traditional IRA would work. And again, this leverages the concept of compound interest. Compound interest, guys, by the way, Einstein said is the 8th wonder of the world. And what's interesting as well is this is the only retirement account a child can fund without earned income. Okay, you can't typically open up an IRA unless you have earned income, unless you have a job. And most 1-year-olds and 2-year-olds and newborns, well, they don't have jobs, at least not in the United States. And I'll give you some examples here in a moment about why compounding interest is so powerful. This is the kind of stuff they don't teach in school. And by the way, guys, we were talking about this a few days ago. You can get, I think there's a lot that the American education system gets wrong. The #1 thing is financial literacy. The fact that we don't teach financial, basic finance in school is absolutely unforgivable. It is absolutely unforgivable. If I was gonna ever run for an office, that would be my #1 thing. We're gonna teach your kids how to do math and how to be financially, that would be like the #1 thing. I just think it's so important. That's how you bring up communities and bring people out of poverty, is understanding concepts like this, like compounding interest. Anyway, I digress. Due to the tax benefits, the federal government actually limits annual contributions to $5,000. And by the way, anytime I hear the federal government say, hey, this is too good, the tax deferment is too good, we limit the amount you can put into it, that perks my ears up. I'm always interested in stuff where the federal government's like, hey, you know, you can't invest too much because we want a piece of the action. I want to keep my money. So anyway, I think that's pretty interesting. Now, the money can come from all sorts of different places, which is another innovative and interesting part with these Trump accounts. They can be funded from parents, grandparents, aunts, uncles, charities, nonprofits, even employers can invest up to $2,500 tax-free and write it off on their taxes. So having an employer that's putting into a Trump account is actually a huge benefit, both for the person who's receiving the donation and for the employer, because they get to write off on their taxes and they don't have to claim it as earned income. It's money out the door. Anyway, once the child hits 18, the account matures and the child can decide to do whatever they like with the money. They can cash it out, or they can even do a conversion into a traditional or Roth IRA to allow that money to continue to compound to age 60 on a tax-deferred basis. And you might be saying to yourself, all right, Mark, you're saying a lot of fancy words that I don't fully comprehend. Let me actually lay down how powerful that compounding interest is. Let's look at some of the numbers, assuming an 8% annual return rate, which I think is pretty reasonable. I've seen higher, I've seen lower, 8% in the middle. So if you were just to receive the $1,000 at birth, you don't have to do, if you had a kid today, you enroll in the Trump account, it gets funded by one of these donors, $1,000. You don't do anything else. By age 18, it's gonna be $4,000. By age 60, it would be worth about $100,000 with compounding interest. That's over 60 years, 1,000 into 100,000. That's not too bad. That is not bad. Now, let's say that you are able to max it out. Let's say the parents, grandparents, everyone gets together and you max out that account at $5,000 per year. That's $90,000 total invested. By age 18, that's actually $200,000. You've more than doubled your money over those 18 years. But at age 60, guys, if it continues to compound without any more money put in, by the way, that's $5.1 million. So maxing out this, you're basically setting up your kids for life if you max out these accounts. And I realize not everybody can do that, but it just kind of goes to illustrate, I put in 90K, I get out 5.1 milli. Not bad. Not bad. But the best part is you can actually keep contributing to that. Because again, you get to 18, you convert it into a more traditional or Roth IRA, and you continue to contribute $7,000 a year, which is the maximum that you're allowed to put into your IRA. Well, it'd be over $10 million by age 60. Again, set for life, retirement, you're good. You're good. Now, again, with inflation, who knows exactly how far $10 million will go, but needless to say, you've set yourself up with a pretty sweet nest egg. Now, let me give you another example. Let's say the grandparents just contribute $100 per month. So instead of spending money on squishies and video games and other things, let's just say they put in $100 per month over the 18 years. That's $1,200 a year. Guys, that's $47,000 by age 18. When that kid hits 18, they're gonna have $47,000 in their account. By age 60, there'd be over $1.2 million in their account. That is the power of compounding interest, guys. And what's really, really important to understand about this is that once you start to get into the 30s, 40s, 50s, as far as how many years the fund has been going, you start to see an exponential growth because that compounding interest starts to really exponentially grow. Retiring and cashing out at age 60 is way different than cashing out at age 50 or 55, okay? But what's really powerful about these Trump accounts is that you can start investing from age 1 instead of traditionally where you'd have to start investing age 16, 17, 18, because then you have to have the earned income. So that tax-deferred compounding from age 1 is incredibly, incredibly powerful. And I don't know that people fully appreciate it. Again, you probably would want to speak to an accountant before really, really going hard and investing all of this money in, because there are some things that need to be figured out as far as, well, what happens when the kid turns 18 and what happens to the money and so on and so forth. That's important to understand. It's also important to understand that as a parent, this is not your money. Once it goes in, it is that child's money. You cannot touch it. It is the kid's money. So when that kid turns 18, they could do whatever they want with that cash. They could blow it on a trip to Cabo. They could convert it into an IRA. It depends. You have to train your kid. You have to teach your kid how to be smart with money. You know what I'm saying? They could, listen, I was young. Once you go blow it on really pretty ladies at the club, real quick. So again, you got to be smart. You got to teach your kids. The other thing that I see a lot of discussion on is, well, is this better than a 529, which is a child's savings account for college? Well, it depends. If your kid goes to college, the 529 may be better, but who knows if your kid's going to be going to university in 15 years? Who knows what that actually looks like? So I think that one of the benefits of this Trump account is it gives you a little more flexibility with the money. It's just, whatever happens, it's going to be a retirement fund. In any event, I think there's some really cool things here, and I wanted to cover it because, well, I think it's fascinating. I'm looking into it myself because I'm trying to make money. I'm trying to get my kids rich. I'm trying to grow wealth for me and my family. That's like, what else are we here for, right? Anyway, what do you think? Are you in? Are you out? Do you have more questions? What do you think about these Trump accounts? Are you just saying, like, I don't trust anything that Trump does, I'm out? Are you like, well, I like everything Trump does, so I'm definitely in? Where are you? I'm kind of curious. By the way, not financial advice, and I would definitely not personally be purchasing any meme coins from anyone ever. It doesn't matter if it's President Trump or Melania. But these Trump accounts are pretty interesting. It was passed in the House and the Senate, written. So anyway, what do you think? Type in your comments below. By the way, if you liked the video and you've liked and subscribed to all the good stuff, definitely check out yesterday's video where we talk about what might be one of the biggest moves that Microsoft is making, laying off people, saying that it's not AI, but it's kind of because of AI. You got to check out yesterday's video to get that story, and let me know what you think about the Trump accounts. See you, boys. Peace.